Welcome back, Magdalenes. This is your Magdalene Frequency Forecast for May 24th through May 30th. This week feels like a threshold week. We are moving through Gemini season now, so there's movement, communication, realizations, perspective shifts, and truth rising to the surface. But at the same time, we are building towards that Sagittarius full moon at the end of the week, and that brings culmination energy, revelation energy, things coming full circle. And honestly, this week feels lighter than some of the weeks in the past. Not because life suddenly became perfect overnight, but because something inside the collective finally starts realizing that the tide is turning and we can feel it. This feels like the beginning of people actually being able to feel the fruits of all of the work that they've been doing internally. So, for the astrology that we have this week, as I said, we're moving into Gemini season, which is about communication, movement, perspective shifts, conversations changing timelines, truth surfacing very quickly, and mental clarity returning. And so this should be a time when like the conversations really do just start flowing easily. With the Sagittarius full moon at the end of this week on the 30th, this is culmination energy, emotional truth being revealed, big picture awareness, freedom versus limitation themes, destiny crossroads, and expansion after long contraction. And that's the part I really love for us, is just the expansion energy that comes with that Sagittarius energy. In the United States, we have Memorial Day as well this week. And so this is about honoring the past, remembrance, recognizing sacrifices, collective reflection, the hero's archetype showing up, emotional nostalgia, and reconnection with soul family and the community. So we've got some big theme energy going. And so the general energetic themes are lighter nervous system energy, hope starting to return, blessings beginning to land, the harvest season beginning, timeline shifting, the timeline shifts becoming visible, and learning how to receive instead of only survive. So that's, I think, our biggest challenge right now is that we've been in this survival mode energy for so long. And I mean, with good reason. But now then, we've done enough healing and clearing that we don't have to live in survival mode anymore. And that's the challenge now is, can we tell the difference between when we're showing up out of the survival instincts versus when we're showing up in our truth, in our authenticity and embodiment? The angel numbers that are showing up this week are 333, which is about divine support, collaboration, alignment through communication, creativity plus expression, spiritual guidance surrounding decisions. So I do feel like that there is some communication coming in, some truth coming out with that full moon energy for sure. We have 144, which is the Magdalene frequency. And I also relate this to the 144,000. So, like the call for the light workers to rise up. This is about sacred service, embodied truth, building strong foundations, and authenticity, activating abundance. And we have 1122, which is about a destiny crossroads. Partnerships plus purpose are now aligning, stepping into a higher timeline with this one, walking through a new doorway. Trust the unfolding. So, I mean, there's just a lot of energy supporting us right now for this positive lift that we're feeling. But now let's move over into the base reading to see what's really coming through in the cards for this week. So let's go ahead and look at the actual lesson that the collective is moving through this week. Not just what's happening externally, but what this energy is actually trying to teach us. Because every single week has a lesson attached to it. Every trigger, every blessing, every emotional shift is trying to move us into a deeper and deeper embodiment. So let's see what truth is unfolding. So I've already pulled the base reading here. And we're using the Mysteries of the Deep Tarot. I just love this deck. It's just beautiful. And so, our overall lesson this week is this Nine of Pentacles, and this is about receiving. And so, this is like a time period where all of your hard work has now started like paying off. And so, this is a time of harvest. This is a time of like the blessings pouring in. But this isn't just blessings just being given to you. This is blessings that you have worked really hard to receive. All of the healing work you've done, all of the boundaries you've set, all of the new standards that you've made for your life are bringing in, the new adjustments in a real physical way now. The trigger for this is this Three of Cups energy. And so there is celebration here, there's soul family here. So this is about finding your people. And I do think that you've started to find more moments of joy than maybe in the months of the past. And it's just you're starting to find more resonance and more alignment within, the connections that you have. So I think a lot of us, we may not have a large friend group anymore, but the ones that we have, we know they are solid. We know that like they are, fully in alignment with this new version of ourselves. So the emotional undercurrent is this Wheel of Fortune. And so it's like we can feel it. This is where we can feel the tides are turning. The shift has, officially in motion. And so we felt like we were in this stuck energy for so long, but now then it's like divine timing has finally caught up with our actual alignment and it's starting to move with us and we're starting to see it. And that's where we're seeing these blessings coming in right here. But again, it's off of what we've already set into motion long before. The challenge or the tension point is this Queen of Swords. And so this is about staying in your truth as the new starts pouring in. And so it's like, again, the biggest challenge I feel in this is, are you able to receive? Are you able to just let good things start pouring into you? And stay like with this one, and it's also and to stay in your personal truth inside of that. You're needing to still have not to let things, sweep you away as it gets lighter. You're still having to stay in discernment. You're still having to keep your standards. You're still having to keep your boundaries. But as things do start lightening up, can you stay in that same level of discernment that got you to this place to begin with? The opportunity or the path forward is the moon. And so that's why I keep coming back to this full moon in Sagittarius. And so, there is truth being revealed with this moon. And this is, it's really kind of asking us to trust even in the unknown. Trust the work that you've done, your efforts that will be rewarded. Trust even in the unknown. And so, like last week's message, we were talking a lot about let the truth come to you. And so, this is part of that letting it all, kind of like formalize in front of you, not having to chase it and trusting what throughout all of it. So, this moon, I mean, it's bringing clarity. In a big way. And that clarity is taking us from a contracted state into, this more expansive timeline. And we can see it with this bottom of the deck energy, which is the sun. So, I mean, that's joy and clarity and abundance, vitality. I mean, it's just like all the things just start kind of opening up again. And, the days definitely feel brighter, lighter, and, more joyful. And it's just, and more clear. That's one of the words that I'm really getting out of this message too. It's just how much more clear things feel now, where we've been in this emotional fog and maybe in this cognitive dissonance for, several months. Now then, the energy feels clear again. We know which direction we're going. We know what's happening for us. And, we're feeling that confidence returning to us again. So I love that this energy is really kind of, it's like a pat on the back for all of the effort that you've put in. And so hopefully you're allowing yourself to enjoy it, but also staying strong in, your standards and your boundaries that got you again to this place. Okay. So overall, this feels like a really powerful turning point week. There's joy here. There's movement here. There's emotional fulfillment trying to come in. But now we want to go just a little bit deeper because the questions now become from what do we do with it? I'm sorry. The question now becomes what do we actually do with this now that we see it? And so I'm going to pull just a little bit more clarifying questions with the tarot and go just a little bit more deeper here. All right. So, what old version of ourselves are we being asked not to return to? We have the Four of Cups. Oh, I love that. So the Four of Cups is almost just waiting for something bad to happen, just because the past just look at the past. It happened here, it happened here, it happened here. And so it's just like you don't even expect good things to come anymore when you're in this place. But that's the shift. That's what we can't do anymore. We can't just wait for the bad to happen. We've got to expect that good can actually come in too, because we changed. Not because the situation changed, but we changed. What we allow changes. The standards, that we have changes. And so it's like, this is a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you get in that space, you're automatically going back to the old timeline. All right, what blessing or opportunity is trying to fully land for us now? Oh, I love that. We have the Ace of Cups. And so the heart overflows. This is about a new connection in love or a reconnection in love. But the love is, the part that's just overflowing here. And with the sun energy here, it just feels great. That just feels really great. But we've got to stay in this energy too of the Nine of Pentacles and not be completely engulfed by it when it shows up, so that we can stay in this Queen of Swords energy and stay discerning through it. What truth do we need to stay anchored in as things begin shifting? We have the Six of Wands. And so, again, this is kind of pointing back to your efforts, and just your efforts are paying off. They are starting to be visibly recognized now. And so, just the more that you see that, reflection back of yourself, like that's part of the learning how to accept it. Because, a lot of you can tell if you're someone who is able to receive by when people give you compliments. How do you receive compliments? Do you feel like you have to justify the compliment, or can you just take the compliment? And so, this is where I feel like you're starting to kind of get external mirrors kind of reflecting the truth that you've known, about yourself for months, but you didn't have, you weren't surrounded by the right people. And whenever I see like that Three of Cups energy, that always tells me that you're in a whole new alignment group. It's like you're changing rooms, because the old room was distorted mirrors. And now then you've got, the clear mirrors again, and they are clear reflections of your true growth for where you're at right now. Okay, so your best move forward this week is Ace of Swords. Okay, the truth is coming to you. The truth is coming out, and you are meant to be, in your truest state as well. So there's a lot of just like authenticity. And that's how you truly find your people anyways, is by being so completely yourself that they recognize you instantly. That yes, that's what I've been looking for. Yes, that's one of me. That's, my resonance. But see, when you try to show up by what you think other people want, you may attract them initially, but when you start showing up as yourself later, that's where the friction is going to come in, because you're going to start resenting not being, seen for who you actually are, and only for what, they wanted you to be. But that's, the mask you wore that got the connection. But the truth is there wasn't actually real resonance there. And so when you show up as yourself, that's where it becomes visible. So let's just go in from the start. This is who I am, like it or not. And it's not that you're not like giving yourself permission to be, just horrible to people. But you know who you are, and you don't have to bend and try to like force yourself into situations and friend groups that really, because if you're not in alignment with them, they are also not in alignment with you. And that's just where the friction point comes in. So this is authenticity to stay in complete alignment. What does this energy look like in 1 week? We have the King of Pentacles. So that is some stable, solid, secure foundation being built. And that is, divine masculine energy coming through with this, that's ready to build something real. They have something real to offer, and so that's what you've been holding out your standards for this whole time anyways, because you're very capable on your own. So you have to have a partner that has some level of equal capability to match with you. Okay, so what can we do to shift into our greatest alignment? What do we need to do to shift into our greatest alignment? We have the Three of Swords, and it's just continue working on healing the heart. And I mean, this is a never ending process. So we don't want to make an idol out of the healing work, but just continue to keep monitoring, seeing, where, like you still have those raw areas, and you'll know them because that's where the triggers show up. You'll know because that's where your biggest tendency to fall back into old patterns shows up, is where you still have the heart healing that needs to happen. And so just be kind to yourself with this too. So when the triggers show up, just think about your triggers as that's your inner child screaming for attention. So treat that moment as though you're treating, a small child. And so like, you see them, acting out, you see them distressed, you see them crying, you see them throwing fits, you see them like just angry, stressed, all the things. You don't go and yell at the child, you go and calm the child. That's what you are being asked to do with yourself. When these things start showing up and you start feeling like, some of these older patterns are showing up, acknowledge that was a part of you. Acknowledge that the fear is there. Acknowledge that the anxiety is there. Acknowledge that there's, some level of resentment that might still be going on. Take time to really, connect with the inner child part of you to see why they still feel like this is, unresolved with you. And let's see how we can calm that inner child, bring them to a level of peace so that they don't have to keep holding on to these old pain stories anymore, because they're only using that as their shield of protection to never have to experience it again. So you can be their hero. You are their hero. You are the one that they have been waiting for this whole lifetime. So take time to take care of that part of you and just nurture it, acknowledge it, and just do not shame this part. That is extremely important, but we want to reparent it. We want to correct the narrative that it might be running with and help it know, like, okay, yes, you may have felt powerless in that situation when it originally happened in the root moment, but you are not powerless now. And here are all the things that we can do to help you in this moment. Whew, okay. So this week feels like the beginning of emergence. Not because everything is magically resolved overnight, but because something inside the collective is finally remembering that joy is safe again. The harvest is beginning to come in, and now the lesson becomes, can you actually receive it? Can you stay in alignment with the version of yourself that created this new reality instead of collapsing back into survival mode? I would love to hear how this energy has resonated with you down in the comments below. And if you'd like to go deeper into this message, the extended reading will be linked below, where we'll be pulling back layers of this energy and see what's really unfolding beneath the surface. Also, if this reading has supported you today, make sure you like, subscribe, and share this with another Magdalene who you feel needs this message right now. All right, guys. I will see you in the next reading.